So this is Adrienne, the founder of the Black Women in Europe blog, and I can't believe we're in season 5 of the podcast. Welcome. Our stories don't end, and I'm just so glad you're here. I'm so honored to have
I hope you
today's
enjoyed that
guest,
conversation. I know
someone
I
I've been trying
did.
to get in
And I'll
touch
see
with
you
as soon
again
as I
soon.
saw something
Bye.
exciting on LinkedIn that she posted, and she's here with us today. Nkonye Oyewusi. Oyewusi.
Oyewusi, yeah.
Thank you for your grace on that. From Total Chic Naturals. Sis, welcome. Why are you here today? I'm so excited.
Yes. Hi, Adrian. Yes, I am excited. I think we've been talking back and forth and never really met. Well, I'm here today. I'm here to talk about Tall Chic Naturals and myself in general. On LinkedIn, I'm more known professionally for being a software engineer and a manager. So I do have a background in software. I went to school and studied computer science, did a master's in computer science resources. And I did that for about 25 odd years. I'm still kind of in that industry because I keep getting pulled in. But I've also
Wow.
had a passion to do natural plant-based business for a very long time. And that comes from two places. One, my African origin. I'm of Nigerian origin. And almost everyone my age who's grown up on the continent of Africa has seen their mom or their grandma use shea butter and use black soap. It's part of the culture to use those things. So it's not unusual to see people use those. And
And if I could ask you, those aren't imported to Africa, those are made there, correct?
they are made there. They are made there. And I'm very passionate about African ingredients. Um, what used to happen was when I was younger, I would say, 80s, 90s, um, it was not very fashionable in Africa to use African ingredients. Most Africans were looking up to what we used to see in the West, and relaxers were a thing. And even though natural hairstyles, as we know it today, originate there, they weren't valued. We used to look up to African Americans, and anything we saw them doing was what we did, without having
That's
enough
so
education
sad. Yeah,
about
because we enough of us don't know our own culture, so that's sad. As far as what comes from the continent and what makes us strong. And yeah, we're West. So you were looking to us. A lot of us looking to you all. Do you know anything about the bleaching? Was that a thing in Nigeria, skin bleaching?
The bleaching in Nigeria, unfortunately, is become it's become a thing that is constantly being educated on. And the origin of bleaching actually stems from photography. So back in the day, Nigerians used to have arranged marriages, much like the Asians used to do, and that's changed now. So the traditional form of marriage was if a man wanted to get married to a lady, they would present him with a picture of the lady. And the darker skinned girls did not show up in the picture because of the type of photography that was used in the black and white pictures.
Oh goodness.
And the lighter skinned ladies showed very well. So it became a thing where there was a preference for the lighter skinned ladies because they were perceived in those pictures as being more beautiful. And that has kind of carried on. I mean, we now know better, don't we? That
We do, and I know in Africa, in the United States, they for generations they were creams, bleaching skins or lightening creams, not just for spots or whatever, but they would say use over your, because we had that sad psychology that light skin was better. So
yeah.
yours come from maybe the photographs, ours came from the white supremacists telling us that. But yeah. So okay, so I just wondered if you, because your skincare, I didn't know if it was addressing that, but
Yeah.
it comes from your love of your grandmothers and mother, your mother, what you were raised on.
Yeah.
Caring for them skin, their skin and yours.
Yes, it does come from that. And it also comes from a personal health scare that I had a while back. I wasn't really taking care of myself, to be honest. And when I started to do that, I started to look at everything. So what happened was I had fibroids that were rapidly growing. And these fibroids, from the medical perspective, because of the rate at which they were growing, they were saying, look, this is growing too fast. Anytime cells grow too fast, doctors panic and think this is potential cancer. And to prevent that from happening, they wanted to operate those fibroids. And that was really the first time I looked at my diet, I looked at my skincare. And even if you've never gone through chemo before, the medical aftercare from having had something like that is always they put you through everything and they want to check everything. And I went through the aftercare even though I never had chemo. Once the fibroid was removed, I had to have a hysterectomy for that. But once that had gone, everything was gone. So I was told that I had to be very, very careful about anything coming into contact with my body, be it food, be it skin, be it anything, because the one thing you do not want is for whatever it is to come back.
Right. And your body was already,
Yeah.
what is it called? Immune compromise, I guess, after all of
Yes, he
that.
was already immune compromised. I would blame my lifestyle because I wasn't really exercising. I was about twice the size that I am now. I'm still slightly overweight, but I'm a lot fitter than I used to be. I mean, as in, I go to the gym almost every day. It's become,
Congratulations. Now,
yeah,
tell you, say 1 second, if you don't mind,
yeah.
how hard or easy or how long did it take to do that? Go half your
Um,
size, because that's dramatic. And congratulations.
Thank you. Well, I lost about 100 pounds or 50 kilograms, which obviously, was easy to walk about. I was really embarrassed by the fact that I couldn't, and I came out of the operation and I was given the all clear from the operation. My mom flew over and she was like, right, we're going to start walking this weight off. And I could not walk for 15 minutes. And I found that very embarrassing because I think as an adult, you should be able to work 30 minutes comfortably without even feeling breathless. I could not walk for 15 minutes. So we would practice walking for 15 minutes till that got easy. And then we got 30 minutes. And when I felt like 30 minutes was easy, I just went and hired a personal trainer and I told them what my journey was. So he did the same thing. He said, okay, fine, we're going to give you all sorts of exercises. We'll start with 15 minutes and 30 minutes. I just gave myself time goals. And before I knew it, I was running 5Ks.
Amazing. So
Yes, I
one
ran
literally one
5Ks
step at a time, literally one step at a time.
one step at a time. And I think the problem we have now and why I'm very for natural living is you can correct a lot of these things through lifestyle. As I stand now, even though I say on the scale I'm slightly overweight, and that might be because I put on muscle, because I do a lot of weight training these days. So on the scale it says I'm overweight, and the BMI says I'm overweight, but I've got perfect
It's how
cholesterol.
you feel. Exactly. You're
Yeah,
testing well and how you feel.
yeah,
These models aren't always made for us anyway, in mind. And when I say us, I mean Black people. Let's just face it.
yeah.
So, we don't have to conform to what the Western thinks is our BMI. You know how you feel. You knew not being able to walk 15 minutes was embarrassing. It didn't matter how much you weighed,
Wait,
right?
exactly. Whereas even now with arthritis in my knee, I can still walk comfortably and still not feel breathless, so I'm able to lift weights, I'm mobile. I mean, I did all this setup upstairs in my room and I was carrying stuff up and down, going. This was something that was very hard for me at the time. And just by, focusing on eating more veg, so I just kind of, did what they call I switched to what they call good carbs. So it was more like whole foods and proper natural food. I did not cut out carbs.
Were
I
you
did
cooking before, or did you start cooking more with
I
this
started
new
cooking more.
food?
Started cooking more, started caring more about what goes into my body, and I still treat myself every once in a while because, well, but majority of it is whole foods. I mean, I have a green juice. And then, I started thinking, okay, what about the stuff that goes on your skin? And I started looking at labels, and I was really shocked at the revelation of some of the chemicals that are going in there. At the time, there were quite a few carcinogenic chemicals. It's more strict these days.
Okay, because I'm thinking the EU was always ahead of the US when it comes to banning chemicals. And even though UK's left the EU, you still wouldn't allow ingredients that we would. So you've seen, how long ago was that? You've seen that changing,
I
gotten
would I
better.
would have said in the 2000s it was probably like that, but they got a lot stricter in the EU generally, and they started to regulate some of these more. Most of our cosmetics at the time were coming from China.
Wow.
Unfortunately, there were unscrupulous practices, and people weren't really checking how these products were being made. We found out that in some cases, even if the products were fine, people weren't cleaning their machines. Traces of feces in some of these products. There was a Netflix documentary based on that came out a while back, and I discovered that on my own. So I started mixing shea butter the way I remember my grandmother used to do. So I bought shea butter and just mixed it with a couple of oils, and I started using that on my daughter's hair.
Wait, let me ask you a
Never relaxed.
question.
Sorry,
Okay, no, 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 because I'm just so fat. You said like your grandmother used to do. So this is in her kitchen.
at home.
So
She's
describe it. Okay, so where did your grandmother get the shea butter? Did you go to the market and get raw shea butter?
Yes,
It's
she'll
like
go
a
to the
chunk.
market and get raw shea butter, and then she'll just whip it up and
It
use it
comes
raw.
in a
She never
block.
mixed it with anything, but she just whipped it. You
Did it
can't.
come in a block?
Yeah, she'll buy a block and then
How do you
whip it
whip
herself.
it? Electric blender, no
Oh, she
oils,
used to
you
do everything
said.
by hand.
That's what I'm thinking, because I
By
know my
hand.
grandmother, yes, so she's so you chip it down, she's
Yeah,
melting it down and
yeah. She melted it down, and
wow.
then when it's solidified, she'd mix it up into what looked like a cream format, and that's what she would use. And of course, she used to make her own black soap from the potash from the palm tree, and the palm oil and all that. She used to make all of that herself. And when
You
I
grew
think
up
back to
just
what she looked
watching
like,
her. Okay, you
when I
watched her.
think, sorry.
I'm just thinking what an honor you watched her doing this growing up. It was just natural that she would be doing these things.
Yeah, because her view of what she saw my mother's generation, she felt they were spoiled because the lifestyle she lived in an African village. And now that I think about it, she was living a very, very healthy lifestyle. Whereas what Africans were aspiring to, although that is changing and that has changed drastically with Gen Z now, what they were aspiring to was a very Western lifestyle, which was very unhealthy. So the cities were polluted, lots of traffic, and people were driving, sitting in traffic, not really exercising. That was seen as, being comfortable, having that kind of lifestyle. And my grandmother would get up in the morning, go to a farm, pick her own food, grow her own food, fetch her own water, even right up till when she died. And
Fresh air,
so,
no polluted traffic air, fresh
yeah,
air.
fresh air. And I remember, eating fresh mangoes from the garden and everything. And funny enough, my parents have kind of embodied that lifestyle now. They have mango, banana trees at the back of their house in retirement. And, they themselves said, that was a very, very good lifestyle. I don't know why we changed it. It's natural. And now that I think about it, I used to spend holidays there. My parents used to just drop me off with her, and I thought it was fun. I thought she was fun. I thought she was, quirky. And I remember her chasing around the chicken because she wanted to cook chicken for dinner. And I think, why is this old woman still mobile? But now that I think about it, that's why.
That's exactly why.
Yeah,
And how about, does she have arthritis?
never did. Never did.
And I've had rheumatoid arthritis. These thumbs they call black, well, I call them
Yeah,
black swan, but swan or whatever. It's autoimmune. I had it for years and had to take oral chemo. So it's not in my body anymore, but that's residual damage. And
yeah.
just so I'm just so it's heartwarming to hear your grandmother live how we were supposed to live, right?
That's how we
Natural.
were supposed to live.
Before the food industry and cosmetic industry
Ethics
and
and yeah.
pharmaceutical. What did she do when she got sick? She knew plants
Yeah, she had
to
some plants. Well, the most common illnesses, at least before any foreign viruses came in, was usually malaria. And there's a plant that at least I grew up drinking. Not the best tasting plant, but if you had malaria and took that plant, you'd be fine by the next day. And I remember her giving it to me and say, oh, just she used to put a teaspoon of honey in it to make it palatable for me. And she's like, oh, you'll be fine. And I literally wake up the next day and be like, oh, and scientific research has shown that some of the herbal medicine that she used and are being used in certain parts of Nigeria can solve things like even fertility problems. So a lot of Nigerians now no longer, there's a village in Nigeria known for having twins, highest fertility in the world. People who have fertility problems literally go and stay in that village and eat what they eat, live that lifestyle, and they end up having babies. So a lot of
wow.
the hormonal changes and things we've seen have been introduced to us via diet. And that is very, very sad to see. Um, My mom, ended up being diabetic at 60, and I remember her exercising for the very first time at 60, and she's doing good now. All
So it's
three.
not too late. At 60, she changed her lifestyle by
Yeah.
exercising. What about food?
She changed food. She hardly, well, she, as a diabetic, she has to watch her sugar, so she hardly ever eats sugar. But if she does, she's always on like porridge, and it's very, very small amounts. She doesn't eat anything refined at all.
Now, how in the world do you eat? So, what does that mean? Because that's really how we're supposed to eat. All the nutritionists, the doctors, we eat way too much refined food in the West, at least.
I think in
And
the West, because there's a lot of added sugar, sugar is addictive. Because whenever I go to Africa, I always lose about 10 pounds, even within like a 2 week holiday. And the only difference is the quality of the food. I'm not doing anything different except for because it's hot, I'm drinking more water, obviously. And then, in the morning, this is how my mom would eat. She would wake up in the morning and eat like either she would have a fresh fruit salad or they'll make some sort of fresh fruit juice. There's fresh mangoes, there's fresh, and these are like really huge mangoes. By the time you finish one, you're really full and you're able to get on with your day. In the afternoon is when they would most likely eat something like fufu, which is a bit heavier. My mom would probably take more of the sauce, which is vegetables, meat. And then in the evening, they'd have something like a grilled fish and a salad. It's a pretty balanced diet. I mean, and then there's
sounds delicious.
all day. You could get fresh fruit, fresh pineapple, fresh. And that's the Nigeria I grew up in. Unfortunately, the longing for Western lifestyle has changed a lot of that. And we're now trying to re educate people to go back to it because there was nothing wrong with it.
And you said Gen Z recognizes that.
Yeah, they
And
do. The younger
they,
generation do definitely recognize that.
so you bring all this institutional knowledge that we absorbed from our grandmothers. You had the privilege. I love it. My mother used to drop me and my sister off to Chicago, where she's from. We grew up in Washington, D.C. Summers with like my grandmother. And there's nothing like that love you get from your grandmother. Like you say, quirky, whatever. It's completely different than the household, that you're like, you raised my mother, she doesn't, So it's all of that bonding. I don't know if you had cousins and things, but it was your own personal health struggles that force you to rethink everything you're putting in and on your body. And fortunate for you, I mean, you have an engineer background. I don't know how that helped. You're going to tell me, but you knew what you learned from your grandmother and all the other mothers in Africa, in Nigeria. So, what did you make, and how did you go from being
From
sick
there.
to throwing out the stuff you bought from Boots or whatever to put on your skin and using your own stuff?
So I started looking at one thing I was looking at was my hair. I stopped relaxing. I stopped relaxing altogether, and my hair at the time was like straw. I wasn't happy with the hair I had, and I remember coming when I first came from Nigeria to the UK. I had a full length of Afro hair right down to my back. Everyone in my family had, and then my hair just started to break, and I couldn't understand why. And then, there was a natural hair movement. So I followed those things religiously and I started to see my hair come back in my 40s, which I thought, oh, okay, this is good. My hair is looking good. And I started to look at shea butter, started to do a lot of studying because I wanted to know why those things worked. There was scientific reasons. Now, because of the way things were in the past, people couldn't explain it, so there would be a mythical explanation. So I went into okay, we want to look at the real reason why it works with scientific knowledge, and there was a movement towards shea butter here in the UK. Everyone started to use shea butter, and people started to source because no one was trusting the market, and of course the market responded by adding shea butter to their products. Having said that, not everything that says shea butter is shea butter. I'm just gonna let you know, there's a lot of mixes with chemical on the market. So I thought, okay, this is good. I originally wanted to do hair. Now my IT background has given me exposure to many different because when you work in IT, you build systems for different industries. So I know a little bit of sales, I know a little bit of marketing because I built systems for people doing all of that. And of course, being a web developer myself, I know about IT systems. So running IT and social media for the business, I already had that knowledge. But what I wanted to know was how to create the product. And then lockdown happened. And I found myself with so much time on my hands. Getting body creams and stuff was really, really hard. And then I decided to study. Got myself my certificate in skincare creation. And I
Formulation, is it called formulation?
formulation, yeah. So I became like a certified formulator, skincare formulator. Um, I'm still going to do my advanced certificate, but I did all that and I thought, okay, how do I go about making this a business? What do I want to create?
Okay, let me stop and congratulate you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And so that was one of your pandemic blessings. You said,
That was one of my
okay,
pandemic things because I thought, okay, I'm here, I've got time. My children were grown. What am I going to do with my time? And we spent all that time just, we spent all that time. I spent all that time studying. At first, I was making stuff for the family, and they were guinea pigs. And because we couldn't source hand wash, so I made hand wash at home. And
had it gotten that bad that for basic supplies, it was that bad,
it
wasn't it,
was
at some
bad.
point?
What was happening was
Well,
because
stuff without chemicals, like stuff that you wanted, got
yeah,
really harder to even find.
we couldn't even find hand wash at the time because people were buying from the supermarket and hoarding them and then reselling at ridiculous prices. So I thought I'm going to make it, and then I made soaps and really really bad versions I have to say, but we used them and we were like, well, we have them here, so we might as well use them. And then I started to think, okay, what do I want to do as a brand? And this is where my knowledge of marketing, albeit not being an expert, kind of came into being. We did study a bit about branding during the course as well and how to approach your brand. And I remember when I put out my first logo, I have rebranded about 4 times to get the logo I have now, because I called myself Tall Chic Naturals. It's like that's what I want to call myself. Tall Chic is a nickname that I've had since secondary school. A friend of mine looked at me and just said, "Oh, you're tall and very chic," and it became a thing, Tall Chic, because I am 6'2", and I was skinny, little thing back
Oh
then.
wow! So you're statuesque, 6 feet two. Fantastic. So tall,
Yeah.
chic, and natural. That was you were branded that, labeled that back in school.
Back in school, and that was me. I just thought, oh, that is me. I wanted a brand that people could identify who the owner of the brand was. Um, but I also wanted to specifically look at African ingredients, and I wanted to look beyond Nigeria. At that time, I was opportune to go to the Gambia. I think for some reason there was a online move from a lot of African Americans to go back to Africa, and it got me thinking, what do I want my retirement to look like?
Yeah, it's still going on too, but yeah.
It's still going on, but I'm African, so I felt, it's easier for me to transition back because I have some knowledge of the place. I think a few people have had bad experiences and it's very, very difficult to go in because the culture is different and there's a lot to adjust to.
I mean, I've been as a visitor
Yeah.
just the two out of the 54 countries. Senegal, and it's completely different from Zimbabwe, but I don't haven't, and I moved from the States to England and then to Belgium and then Sweden. So I know some people think, oh, it's hard. It's hard. And that's going from one Western culture to another.
Another.
Okay, it's different language, just because I speak, I wouldn't imagine thinking moving to a continent as diverse. And even if I went to Nigeria, one that's a former colony of the Brits that speak English,
Yeah.
I'm not British and it's still a different culture. So I love the fact that it can happen, but I do hope people go in with open eyes and plans to
Yeah.
make it work for them, or if what happens if it doesn't work.
And
Can
the
I
thing
ask you
in the
one thing?
UK,
As a Nigerian citizen, can you live in any country in Africa that you want to?
I
Like an
can live
EU
anywhere in
citizen,
West
like
Africa. I think the latest
in
thing
West.
going on, the latest thing, I have lived across West Africa growing up, actually. So that's not a problem for me. I did live in Senegal. My parents worked there for a while and in the Gambia.
Nangadef, Nangadef.
Manifi, Manifi.
I just don't know if there's a thing in on the continent that any African citizen can live in any African country they want to.
There is a thing now with the younger
Fantastic.
politicians now. There is more of a
Wow.
unifying. Why
There's
should
power in
Kenya
that.
not be able to live in Nigeria? Because There are similarities and there are diversities as well. So if you live in one country, you're bound to be doing certain things similarly. There's similarities across, and in those similarities, they're just little nuance differences. For example, if you went to a wedding, every country in Africa, north, south, east, west, there's the culture of the bride price. And how that is done is different from country to country. Nigerians tend to be I mean, West Africans are very flamboyant. And you can see a lot of that flamboyant in Caribbean countries, in the what do they call them? Carnival.
Yeah.
That is inherited from West Africa. West Africans are flamboyant people who celebrate a lot. So you can see in our fashion, in our music, in the way Nigerians are known for being really, really flamboyant, confident people. But that's the Nigerian mindset. And then,
But so you're saying a dowry, a bride price, a dowry, that's
yeah,
common on the continent, but how it's done is different and unique in
different.
each
Yeah,
country. Fantastic.
yeah. Like my sister-in-law is Zimbabwean, and she was telling me that in her culture, you need to give 3 cows. In the Nigerian culture, it's not, it's anything the parents ask for, it's anything the family asks for. So there's no real set thing. In my own case, really, it was, I did my traditional African marriage 10 years after I was married. And it was really, my dad asked for 3 chickens and of 10 chickens and 3 goats, and that became the food that was served on the day. He
So
didn't
your
really ask for
bride, the groom
money. He just
provided
doesn't
the,
believe in it.
okay, yeah, so, but he had to do something, right? You can't just
He
say
had to
nothing.
ask for something, you know what I mean? And it was just really more ceremonial than anything. And also because when I got married in the UK, my mom didn't get to be mother of the bride, so this was her chance. And she wanted to make a big deal out of it. So she was like, yes, I get to do this finally for my daughter, that kind of thing. So she wanted to have a big party and everything. So we went back and followed the tradition of him officially asking my family and it's actually his family asking my family for my hand in marriage.
So
Um,
his parents have to show up or grand
the whole
whoever.
family have to show up. They have to show up. They come bearing gifts. They
When
come
you
bearing
say the
gifts for my dad, for my mom, for me,
whole family, aunties, cousins.
aunties, uncles, because
Wow.
yeah, because the concept of marriage is families need to know each other. So, I mean, I keep meeting relatives upon relatives upon relatives. It's like, oh, this person is married to this person who's married to, oh, yeah, I see how we can be related by marriage or by blood. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's quite common for the whole family to turn up. Because it was my traditional wedding, but my sister's in-laws all turned up every Sunday because they were part of our family. So they were sitting on our family side, and the room is divided into two group family that way, and so they were on the bride's family side because they were related by marriage. They became part of our family for that occasion. It's quite an interesting exercise.
It is. And do you get an accurate count of how many people are going to come? Because somebody's got to feed everybody. How does that do? I imagine a beautiful
Oh,
feast that
oh,
goes
it
on for
is
hours and
beautiful.
days.
The
Yeah.
You should go on YouTube and see what Nigerian weddings are like. I mean, it is beautiful. It's beautiful. My daughter's already she's born here and lived here, but all of her friends who are, second generation British Nigerians, for example, they all have Nigerian traditional weddings over there. Yeah,
In the UK, or they go
in
back
the
home to
UK.
do
Yeah,
it.
in the
And people
UK,
will come over from
people come over from
Nigeria.
Nigeria if they can. Like she's getting her outfit made for one of her friends' weddings, for example, and she's told me exactly what plans she has for hers, how she wants. They've kind of put a bit of a modern twist to it. Um, I think when it's done here, you can't control how many people come. But in Nigeria, I mean, I met the guy who took the photographs for my first birthday, believe it or not. He introduced himself to me, and I'm like, thanks for the cute pictures. I don't know you. But, it's how things are done over there. So I couldn't really question it.
No, and he was, he was there for all the right reasons.
Yeah.
So so that's so interesting how things are done. So let me just ask you one more thing before we get back to your skincare products. Is there any preparation for the bride that involves these shea butters and oils and all the thing and the hair? Maybe not in Nigeria, but I've seen different documentaries, maybe even in Asian culture where like the bride gets dressed and has to have certain things. I didn't know if shea butter became a ritual for wedding days or things
Um,
like that.
Not From my part of the country, I think the northern part of Nigeria, there's henna. They have their version of henna, which
For
they have.
example, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
they
I'm
have their
thinking of something like that. Okay.
yeah.
So in your country, but not necessarily where you are. See how diverse just even in your country is.
Yeah.
And I don't even want to ask you how many languages or dialects are spoken because Nigeria is
Nigeria is
populous.
huge. I mean, a fifth of the African population is Nigerian, and a third of every black person in the world is of Nigerian origin. And that's, historical. But
No, I have some in my DNA. I don't know if I can pull it up before you go, but I do. I have some. I did that test. It did on my mother. So yeah, I agree. But okay, so wow, thank you for telling me. So I'm just fascinated by your let me ask you one thing. Does the generation want to move back to Nigeria? Is there a move back? Because we talked about Americans wanting to move to Africa. Do Nigerians that grew up in the UK that you know of, do they want to move back to Nigeria?
I think if there are the right opportunities for them, they would. There have been, I think the music entertainment industry and the fashion industry has been very successful in Nigeria. I mean, Afrobeats is quite a big thing now, and Nollywood is quite
Hollywood is huge. It's the
huge.
third or second largest after, yeah, it's you're in the top three.
Yeah, in the
I
top
don't know
two
how long
countries in the
Hollywood
world.
can stay on, and then Bollywood, and then Nollywood, and the Afrobeat thing that comes from Nigeria, or is it really pop? It's a place to go. Like if I'm an
So
Afrobeat musician, I want to be in Nigeria.
if you want to go into Afrobeats, yes. If you want to go into Afrobeats or the South African version, which is Amapiano, yeah, you could. It would do well. Fashion does very well. Funny enough, if you're going to be in fintech, and if you have like a new idea that would change people's lifestyle. I mean, I know somebody who's left. He's never been in Nigeria before, and he's proper English British, and he's doing very well over there. He started his own fintech company, and he's based out of Nigeria.
The fintech. So if you come with a good idea,
Yeah,
gotcha. So it's the ground is fertile. Okay. So
the
you
ground
no
is
longer
fertile. There is opportunity to do. The good thing about Africa is you can bring ideas from the West and do them, but you've got to be very grounded in the society. I think the difficulty is just making that adjustment back to how things used to be. The governments over there are aware that there's this movement. They are ambitious. They want to grow. So they want to make the environment palatable to people who want to come back. And you've seen that with Ghana, just offering citizenship and making it easy for people to come and settle in. And these discussions are being had by different governments, and that's partly why they're trying to make it free movement across Africa now. So if you wanted to move from country to country, you should be able to do that. Um, but just be aware that we still don't have. There's still a long way to go. There's still a long way to go. If you're going to make that move, you need to have something making money for you on this side of the Atlantic at least, because
smart.
what
Yes,
kind of
smart.
lifestyle do you want to live? You cannot go from living here to living a very, very traditional African lifestyle because even Africans don't want to live that lifestyle. But if you want to live a very Western lifestyle, it would be a very expensive move for you because everything you're going to need will be imported to live that kind of lifestyle, unless you want to start bringing those things in the country and start. There's opportunities. So I think if you wanted to do music, you wanted to do fashion, definitely want to go acting. And I've seen people from British actors and singers who were here and decided to go back and have become really famous Nigerian actors. A lady called Beverly Naya, who I like very well, speaks with a very, very clear British accent, around the same age as my daughter. She made that move back and it's paid off. So,
I love to hear that. I'm one of these African Americans. When I first went to, well, first time I went to the motherland, call it the motherland, still do the continent. If I say the continent, I'm talking about Africa. Is there any other? But I'm the type, when I got off Air France, on the tarmac, was on my hands and knees kissing the ground. Literally. I was like, I know I was the first thing I do when I get off the plane. I'm in Africa.
mm,
And then the whole experience, people, the Air Freak, the whole crew was black. First time I saw a black pilot and co-pilot, and the whole crew was black. And then get to Senegal and the beautiful people and the money, no dead white presidents, right? beautiful people in the money, women, black women, head wrapped. I mean,
Oh,
I'm one of those Americans that I don't know, lucky, know where I came from. It was, whatever. So, and last thing about that, on that trip, my first, I've been to Senegal twice, probably once, but that first trip, eating with knife and fork or whatever at a restaurant, they're like, sister, eat with your hands. You're too
keep with your
Western.
hands, yeah,
You're
yeah.
too Western. And I was like, he called me Western. And I was like, wow, I'm Western.
I
That whole thing.
think
I'm like, I am Western. And it was like, hey, don't eat with my hands. It's like, okay. I mean, don't eat with a fork and knife. I'm too Western though, or so Western. And it was like, ding. But okay, and really quick tie, when I first time I went to Oaxaca, Mexico, and someone had say, where are you from? And I said, America. He was like, you're in America. You meant to say United States of America. And I said, yes. I said, muchas gracias. I did. So those type of awareness things happen to me in Senegal and in Oaxaca, in Mexico. But yeah, because you grow up American thinking you're American and
yeah.
just American, at least me, not necessarily Western, not necessarily United States of America, you're North America. Anyway, so yeah, so I've had some epiphanies in your country. I love hearing about people going back and the changes that are happening there because I'm proud of my continent and I want Nigeria to be as strong and so much potential.
We all do. I mean, I think our dream, I would love to retire back to Africa if I could. If I could make it work, why not? My parents worked outside Africa for a few years. They worked for the United Nations and they retired back and it worked out for them. So if I could, it would be my preference, to be honest. It's something I'm very open to doing.
So
Uh,
you're working towards that goal, or you're just open? Because here's the thing I've learned about you so far in this conversation: when you set a goal or set your mind to something, you make it happen.
I do.
So is this in the
I tend
dream
to make it happen.
stage? Yeah. Is this in the dream stage for you, or are you? I'm just gonna turn the video off because my husband's in here. Is it the dream stage for you, or are you actively making plans for it to happen? Because you said you're thinking about your retirement. People have to plan for
Um,
retirement.
it's I would say it's a dream stage. It's more like from dream to investigating how that can happen, researching how that can happen, and looking for information on how best to make that happen. That's where it is for me.
Because I know when I first went to Senegal, I said, "Oh, I would love to retire here, build a house on the coast, and have two type of toilets, a Western toilet, but also what happened to your eye? I don't want you on the video. I'm sorry, sweetie. Okay." No, he was looking at me. I thought he was trying to show me something. Sorry. And I said, I want two types of toilets. I want a traditional Western toilet, but then I also want beautiful tiled floor where you squat, that type of toilet that I saw, in toilet or facilities that I saw in Senegal. Because I said, yeah, I'm going to be 70, 80 squatting, because I'm going to be limble and, they can, yeah. So same thing in Asia. I was like, yeah, like you said, you couldn't walk for 15 minutes.
I
I
couldn't
know, you know what I mean? We're supposed to
to
be
be
able to
able to
squat in
stop
our
that low
70s,
for at
80s.
70. That's a blessing.
So, yeah.
And of course, for people with arthritis, I think the weather is also a blessing,
That
So
can be in the food, imagine eating, like you say, the lifestyle in the community. I mean, I wasn't long in Senegal in a village near where we were staying, and somebody gave me their baby, and was walking around. I ended up getting invited to a naming ceremony, and I had like five women do my hair. It was just my French wasn't that good, and somebody could speak Spanish. My husband at the time, I don't know if he had a little Spanish. We were just communicating. They were just like, I was like, he gave me the baby, walked away. The guy said, well, he knows you're not going anywhere. You're sitting here with us, and we're not going to let you walk away with the baby. I know, but I was so Western. Then I was like, I know I'm Western because
yeah.
no America's putting their baby in the hand of some complete stranger.
Danger. I think
So it
that's
was
why I think we got to accept
powerful.
Africa for what it is.
It was
Some of the
powerful.
difficulties I find African Americans face, and I've been talking to a few people about this, a few African Americans about this. I said, you need to understand that the concept of blackness doesn't exist in Africa.
It's a white construct. It's a construct. It's a white supremacist construct. And if, depending on what history, we can go back to
Yeah.
the Catholic Church when they wanted to sanction some guy that was going around and saying these people are Catholic. They're like, yeah, but you're killing black people and they're Catholic. And they're like, oh, okay. Or they're Christian. They're like, okay, well, we just kill something weird, but it's a construct. There's one race, the human.
It's
And
a
that's one
construct.
reason.
And understand that because everybody's black, there's diversity in that blackness. So you would be received as a long lost cousin. You're a member of the family who's been away for a long time.
I
You don't know
literally
the
heard that in
language, you got
Senegal.
to relearn all of those things.
Literally learned that in Senegal. They're like, sister, sister, welcome home,
Yeah,
and
welcome
you're
home. They
in
would
tears.
recognize, I mean, and he said they even have it in our traditional language. They say the people who were taken away have returned. The people who've taken
And we
away.
like to joke and say, y'all didn't come get us. Why didn't y'all come get us? We like to joke.
Because we were
Well,
being held as well in a different way. That's the funniest thing. Colonialism was happening at the same time. So while we
yeah.
were, happily sitting in our cultures and everything, we were being told our cultures were not good enough and we had to become Christian and we had to change. I mean, when my mom tells me about going to school before Nigeria got independence, they all had to take Christian names, first names.
So they strip you of your name, first name.
And their parents only agreed to it because Nigerian parents were very clever. They were like, look, just go get that thing, that education that puts these white people in this position so that you can be in that position one day. These weren't educated people, but they had a plan for their children and it's worked out because Nigerians are among the most educated blacks in the world today. So,
93% African American women are the most educated women in the United States of America.
yeah.
We represent, I don't know, not even 13%, but we're the most educated and we have the most. So, I mean, I've got 3 degrees, but our parents tell us that. I mean, it was illegal for us to read and write. It's
Yeah.
illegal, illegal, illegal to read and write. Let that sit with you. Illegal to read and write. So, right, I'm my ancestors' dream. I'm the first slave that came over. I have 3 degrees. But yeah, it's very valued in American culture, despite what they show the rest of the world about us.
We all know what they show the rest of the world is. That's not true. I mean, I would love to see in my lifetime a world where, Africans, African Caribbeans, anybody who's Afro origin recognizes that we're all one
Pan
family.
Africanism, which is
I would
why
love to see. And not in the negative sense of excluding
Pan
people,
African,
but
no,
just,
Pan
yeah,
African, like those people that threw the colonizers out of Africa, right? Those proud, people, proud Pan African. Same thing in Jamaica, in the Caribbean. Everybody that was ever colonized fought for their
yeah.
independence. Why are we all speaking all these European languages? We know. So to hear that you can have free movement of African citizens around the continent and you can work and do all that is hopeful
It
because
is
it's,
very
the
hopeful.
stronger we are, that's a fear by a lot of people. United Africa, you know how powerful we can be.
Fortunately, there will always be factions who, for individual gain, will want to create because there is no reason why a Nigerian and a South African should not be able to see eye to eye. What's the difference? I mean, when I see that, I say South Africa had really bad apartheid. You should be closer to us. Why are you against your own? It doesn't make sense to me. But
It
anyway,
doesn't, but it's a lot of the psychology and the misinformation and miseducation.
yeah,
But I'm
yeah,
hopeful each generation gets
hopefully,
better. You say the Gen Z wants to live better. They're blending traditions.
yeah,
They don't want to be too Western. They're recognizing. So let's get back to one of these wonderful things that it comes from Africa. Let me
Africa.
ask you this. Can shea butter, is it naturally only found on the continent or
Okay,
is it other
so
places?
I talked about shea butter, but that's not really my core ingredient.
Okay, let's talk about your core ingredient. Now I'm quiet.
My core ingredient is something called mafura butter, which actually comes from Southern Africa. I do use shea butter as well, but my hero ingredient is mafura butter. Mafura butter looks something like, I don't know if you can see that. That's what it looks like in its native form.
I can. It looks really rich and
It's a very
thick.
rich butter. That's what it looks like unrefined. And it's
Okay.
that kind of cream colored butter. It's quite soft
Mm.
to use in formulations. Oh, that nearly fell over.
Does it have a scent or is it naturally unscented?
It's naturally unscented. It doesn't really, it's kind of nutty. You can tell that it comes from a nut. There's a nut
Mm-hmm.
smell to that. And I did some research into all the butters that were out there that were African. There's kokum, which is it's actually from the coconut palm. I tell you, the coconut palm has everything. The natural preservative I use also comes from the coconut palm. You know, there's well, you've got cocoa butter, of course. You've got coconut oil, which have been used in the Caribbean and in Africa for centuries. And shea butter can be found in West Africa and in East Africa. A lot of people don't know that there's the East African version. The West African version looks similar to this as well. It has that similar kind of color.
Mm,
But
hmm.
the East African version is a white version. And I find, even though I grew up with the West African version, the West African version is the one with the strongest smell. The East African version, I kind of prefer, and I'll tell you why. I now understood having, I went to Dubai Global Village. My son lives out in Dubai, and I went to Dubai Global Village, and I was looking at the African section, a bit disappointed that they put Africa in one section. I'm like, this could be bigger, but that's a whole different discussion. At least we're included. um, and there were all these Ethiopian women sharing, blocks of shea butter. So I went to talk to them. I told them what I did, and I said, I'd love to buy from some of you. And one of them said, oh, let's try it on. And this is raw block like that. And I put it on my skin. And I remember, nothing I used was working in Dubai because it's a very dry heat. But this particular thing not only moisturized my skin, I didn't feel like sweaty underneath. It wasn't oily. It was just perfect for that kind of
Hmm.
heat. And it made sense because that works for the climate in Ethiopia and in Sudan and Eritrea. So everything that grows works with the climate that's there. Whereas our version in West Africa does a different thing because our heat is humid. So the way it goes on the skin is completely different. And I thought, this makes so much sense. That version of shea butter probably works better in Europe. And if you wanted something, a formulation for a tropical country, you probably need something, or for maybe summer, you probably need the shea butter from West Africa.
Yeah, I grew up in a very humid summers, hot and humid, like 3 showers a day summers.
Yeah.
So you're in dry heat like we have out west in Arizona, whatever. Yes, a huge difference.
Yeah.
So just by chance, being in a dry condition you tested it because so you kind of, I don't want to say accidentally stumbled on it, but that's how you found out about white shea butter you didn't know before, or you
I
didn't know
didn't know
about
they
it.
existed. I always
Okay.
thought it was a West African thing, and because everyone knows the West African export of butter is quite popular here, but they do have them in Sudan. So the trees do grow in both countries. Mafura, however, is only found in Southern Africa. So Zimbabwe, South Africa, Zambia, I think. This one I have here is a South African one. They use it over there to make soap.
Oh, interesting.
They use it over there to make soap. But what I liked about this is this has the most vitamin rich butter. It's got everything. It's got all the vitamins you need for skin. While all those butters are good, this one has everything and it works faster than
It's
all the
like a
others.
complete,
Like a
like a
complete thing.
complete
Yeah.
protein or whatever. Like no, but it's
So
like
you
a
don't have to,
complete.
buy that and then buy something with vitamin E and then buy something. I wanted to create something that people could use and follow. At least at the time, it was like, trying to have all in one product. And that's what I was thinking about. And I also wanted to create a self-pampering experience with an African feel. That's what this whole product is all about. The whole product line is all about. Um, so another ingredient that I use quite often is baobab oil.
I've been under a baobab tree.
I love that tree. I love that tree.
Yeah, another one of those
You can
magical
literally solve
experiences.
homelessness with those trees. I'm not joking. You can get
Wow.
people to live and have apartments. I'm seriously thinking about that as a business opportunity. Now that I mentioned it, why can't somebody create, like like one bedroom? You can literally create a studio apartment in a baobab tree and live there comfortably. I thought about it. I thought, seriously, why can't any? Seriously, you can solve homelessness in a country just
Yeah.
trees.
I didn't know. So there's a nut or
Yeah,
seed from the baobab tree that
yeah.
the oil. I didn't know that.
It's also it's also used to make the juice. And did you have some of the baobab juice when you were? Yeah. Have you
I
seen
must,
of the Senegalese women? You've seen
yeah,
it, right? Of
no,
the Gambian women.
flawless, flawless,
That's all
flawless.
juice.
They didn't tell me that when I was there. That's a keep secret. They keep to
Because they
themselves.
didn't know. They probably didn't know. They
No,
just
I'm
drink it because of
teasing,
what
but
they,
yeah,
but now we know.
what they did. Yeah, it's just part of what they did. And wow, but everyone was flawless skin. You're right. Wow.
And did you know that baobab has an SPF of 5 already? So you already got some SPF in there in baobab. Although these days, because of the pollution and everything, it's not enough. But it's there. It's good to know that it's there already. So you've already got some measure of protection. So that makes sense if you live in a climate like that, for nature to provide you with something to protect your skin. So
Yeah, absolutely.
I also
So
use
you're,
marula oil.
what about the oil? Which kind?
Marula.
I've heard of it.
Yeah. There's an alcoholic drink called Amarula cream that comes from South Africa. That's what everybody has heard of. It actually is the same plant that does the marula oil. So the fruit of the plant is what's used to make the alcohol. The seeds of the plant is what's used to make the oil. And I found out that the flower of the plant is used to make a fragrance, which is what I've used in this range.
Oh, wow. So, wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, wow. This is so fascinating.
There's so many fascinating plants. I mean, there's a lady who's doing from South Africa who's using a type of cactus from South Africa in one of her hair products. So when it comes to natural skincare, I found out through research that the richest vitamin-rich products, I mean, all plants anywhere in the world will be good for you, regardless. But when it comes to density of and concentration of vitamins, you get them in two places, Africa and the Amazon.
Wow.
So anything coming from Brazil skincare, you know it's going to be good because that Amazon region, but that we already know because there's the Brazilian products that people use, but there's also the African version. And Mafura at the time I started was very unknown to the UK. And when I would Google, my brand would come up whenever you type Mafura butter. Now I've seen about 3, 4 brands. So this is something coming to the UK. And it's a good time for me to be in business doing this.
Okay, so yeah, so go through. I see 7 products there.
Yeah,
Please go through each one. Or are they each different?
they are different. So I have
Okay.
many different product ranges. And April is Earth Month, and we are celebrating Mafura Mystique. This range is called Mafura Mystique. This is my very first Mafura range. Reason being, why I called it Mystique is because people just didn't know what Mafura was. So Mystique is a mystery. But I wanted to give it a very African theme, hence why it's brown. And this is the body oil. This is just a
It's
simple body oil.
beautiful. Yeah. Is it the bottle that's like amber or the oil?
The
Kind of like
bottle is
amber.
amber. The oil is kind of colorless liquid.
Okay.
What I have done here, it's an oil blend of it's got kukui, jojoba, mafura, coconut, macadamia, and evening primrose
Oh,
in there.
wow.
These are the best oils for skin. I've made a blend of those, and I've used the marula rose fragrance in here.
Now, when would you recommend somebody use the oil? I like the oil when I'm damp out of the shower, but what's another time I can use it?
It depends on your skin type. Now, oils are good. What oils do? They don't hydrate. What they do is they stop the skin from losing water. So if you've got dry skin and you've just had a shower, you could use them straight from the shower, and that will keep the moisture underneath. Another way, you can mix them with the butter if you wanted to, or you can use them on their own. It depends on the kind of skin you have. If you've got normal skin, you could use it on its own, and that's fine. It would not, change the composition. If you've got oily skin, I wouldn't advise you to use an oil because what you're doing is your body's already producing more oil than it should. You need more water. So when it comes to skin, everything is all about balance. And whether that be your face or your body, you want to make a balance of oil to water proportion of your skin. And you're going to be born with a particular type of skin. I have the skin on my face is combination, but the skin on my body is very dry. So I tend to use both the lotion and the oil together. I use them together. But
I
that's
too am dry body. Sometimes on my face. Can you use the oil on your face as well?
You can use the oil on your face. I would advise that you use something that's like a lotion first, and then use the oil to kind of make sure it doesn't. And you got to use very little, not too much
Just a couple drops and use it after your moisturizer. Okay,
after
great
you
tip.
wash.
Okay, so that was so the one that's the excuse me, you showed the butter. It has a pump, the oil has a pump, the butter has a pump, and that's
With
the
the body lotion. There's a difference
body
between
lotion.
the lotion and the butter. So lotion is got more water. It's got a high water content. There are all sorts of different body moisturizers you can have. Like a body lotion is got almost equal water to oil content. So what that is good for when you summer is a good time to use a lotion because it's not really heavy. You don't really need it. And you're likely to be sweating if you use something really heavy. You need summer to just make sure that you're getting the right amount of moisture and sealing in the moisture with the oil as well. So a lotion is good. But because my skin is a bit dry, I add extra oil to it. I've seen people do that. And people who come from, if you come from a warmer climate, even to here in summer, you might find that your skin gets a bit drier and you might have to use both. Or if you went to a warmer climate, for me going to Nigeria, just this will be sufficient. But somebody coming from Nigeria to here would do that.
I got you. Yeah,
Yeah,
they would need the both. Yeah,
they
depending on
would
the
need the
climate.
both.
And do
Now,
they both? I'm
sorry,
sorry. No, no.
I don't have the body butter would be in a jar that look like that. I don't have one present just now, but this is what the body butter I've made from the Mafura butter looks like. Can you see it?
Yeah, it looks really thick.
It's really thick. It's thick, creamy. Now, this is more oil content. It's that kind of consistency. It's very, very oily. I can put that in my hand because I literally bathe in these things. Literally. And, but my formulation, I've done that in such a way that it just literally absorbs into your skin.
I
And
can
then
see it go. Yeah, so it doesn't leave a residue.
doesn't leave a residue,
And it, mhm.
even though it's quite high in oil content.
Mhm. No, yeah, my body would soak that up.
It just soaks it
Okay.
up and it sits there nicely.
I'm a butter person, definitely in the winter, and I can see now how I could use the lotion and the oil. So are there all those five things? Are there different butters, or what's the next thing underneath
The
the
next thing
oil
here
and
is
the
the body
lotion?
scrub.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and that's what that looks like.
Body scrub, and what's the grainy stuff in there?
The grainy stuff is jojoba beads.
Ah, all the beads.
Yes. So I've got sugar and jojoba beads in here as the scrub element. This is a very, very gentle scrub. This is a gentle scrub. Now, this range was meant to be used for people who, it can also be used for people with sensitive skin. So it's quite gentle. The exfoliation isn't, and I'm not a fan of strong exfoliation
It
because
can
I
be too rough sometimes.
think, and you can introduce sensitivity if you keep going that way. Then your skin starts to get, sensitive and starts to react differently to what it should. So you can actually introduce sensitivity by using products the wrong way. And then there are people who just love that feeling of, the scrub. They want to be squeaky clean every single time. So this range, all of my ranges will have all these products in them. There's also a body wash, which
I love a good body
I've run
wash.
out of. It will be in a bottle similar to this. The body wash will
Hmm.
be in a bottle similar to this. And the body wash for this range is a creamy body wash.
Oh wow, everything just sounds so luxurious, and I can imagine how it feels on the skin because I am one of these people with dry skin. Um, so okay, so for example, my routine for my body could be shower,
Mm.
body scrub, and then depending on my needs, butter or an oil lotion combination,
Or just the lotion, just the oil,
or
depending.
just the oil. And as you say, I wouldn't use the body scrub every time. Well, it depends on how often I shower because I want to be gentle, even though it's a gentle formulation, right? Is there a need to exfoliate every day other than the feels good?
I
Maybe we
wouldn't say
need to
there's a
do
need to
it.
exfoliate every day. I think you need to remove dead cells from your skin quite regularly. I would say once a week is fine for exfoliation. Now, even though I formulated this for the body, I do have clients that have used them on their face. My daughter loves the scrub. She loves the
Her
scrub.
face, she loves it for her
Oh,
face.
sorry?
She loves it for her face, your scrub.
She literally uses it everywhere. She uses it for her face, uses it for her body because she has body acne and that works for her. So she's always using the scrub. Um, and
But
I think some people just like, and if you're lucky enough to have skin that doesn't get sensitive after using a scrub all the time, because you're removing layers of skin when you do that. That's what it's supposed to do, your dead layers. But you need to give it time to build up the dead layers. So if you do it
exactly.
every day, you're now going into real skin, and you might be getting micro cuts and bruises on your skin while you're doing that. So I'd
So
recommend once a week.
once a week, that's good advice. Um, okay, so what's next to the body scrub?
I mean, that's all I have. I mean, these are all body scrubs that I have
Okay,
here.
no, I wasn't sure. Okay, good. So those are body scrubs. And the only thing that I can't see is the face scrub. And that's just from one particular line. How many lines do you have?
I have about 7 lines. This one is the one I'm showcasing because it's Earth Month, and I had, I don't know, a very, very Earth theme in mind when I created this. So this is the one I market every April. I tend to market this one. But I've got one called Mafura Sana. All of my, by the way, all of my naming is Mafura something because there's always Mafura. But
Okay.
the
That's your
first part of it,
hero. And
sorry,
you call that your hero ingredient. And
it's
that
my hero
means,
ingredient.
what is a hero ingredient?
It means it's the ingredient that's is the ingredient I use the most. It's the key ingredient in the formulation, which means it's going to be mostly mafura butter, and everything else that makes up the product.
Okay.
So
And where can people get this and all the other collections? Where can we
you can
purchase
get
it?
them on my website. That's www.tallchicnaturals.com.
And do you ship outside of the UK?
I do ship outside of the UK, and unfortunately for the US, there might be extra charges over a certain limit. I think it's over 100. I think it's over $200 limit. There will be extra charges and stuff, but it shouldn't hit you too much. What I tend to do for my US clients is I try to give as many discounts as I can, just to make sure.
Bless your heart. I know because you're trying to
That
help
limit, but
people.
it's
You're trying to help people. Are you on what do you all say in the UK? Are you in any stockists on the shelf anywhere?
I have been in John Lewis. I've done a couple of pop-ups in John Lewis, and they've been both successful. My products are currently in the Gloss Spa, which is a very, very high-end spa in Knightsbridge. And this is
Fantastic. Say
the
that again.
the Gloss Spa, yeah,
The Gloss Spa in Knightsbridge. They're
Knightsbridge.
using your products. So they
Yeah.
have those big industrial, and then maybe they sell some to clients, customers that want to take
Sell some
home.
to clients, and they use some clients, they use it on themselves.
They
I have
use it in the
gloss for the
treatment.
gloss actually.
Fantastic. Now, so is there more than one Gloss Spa? Like in this, or there's just that one location in Knightsbridge? I
Well,
didn't
it's
know if
just
it
that
was
one
spread.
location in Knightsbridge.
Okay. So you do pop, you've been known to do pop-ups in John Lewis.
Yeah.
So people can have an indulgent spa experience at Gloss Spa in Knightsbridge and try your products and come home with them. And we can all get them online at Tall Chic Naturals, Naturala or S, Naturals,
Naturals.com. Naturals.
Naturals.com. And Americans try to stock up before the tariffs come in place. Or,
It's
yeah. And if I were going to, okay, I know this is Earth Month. And I know you asked me before when I'm going to get it out. I definitely get it out for Earth Month. Um, what is it that, okay, what else can we do to honor our bodies? You told us a little bit, exercise, make sure you know what you're eating, read your ingredients, right? All of this to honor ourselves. Fresh air. And look at, you're busy. You've got, this engineering career, you're creating products. How, you've raised your family, you're still a mom. what advice do you have to women to start and take? Because a lot of times people like spring cleaning, start new beginnings. What's the first thing that you would suggest people do? I'm going to suggest they buy your products because, in addition to making sure you have healthy things on your skin, from
Mm.
everything I experienced with you, it's the experience, and we need to treat ourselves with that indulgent experience, taking the time to feel the products on our skin, being mindful. You know, so sick of being stressed. 5 minutes, with your products can be like, so that's my recommendation. What else would you recommend? I know you mentioned
Um,
food. Do you get up drinking water, for example?
I
I've
was
been
just going to
sipping
mention
green
water
tea.
because one thing people, the most common question I get when I'm at a pop-up is, oh, I need a product that's going to solve this, and I hand them a bottle of water. I said, that's your product. That's the best skincare product you can have. And they
Love
go, they're
that.
happy funny. I said, yes, I'm selling skincare products, but what am I doing? Think of your skin as having an inside and an outside. It's like a cake. You can have a cake with very good icing, but taste terrible. The cake tastes terrible. If that cake tastes terrible, it wouldn't matter what icing you put on there. You're going to throw it away because you're going to have something really good. And skin literally works from inside out. So what you're eating and what you're drinking is very, 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 very important. So I always say get your water in. Most people, the most common problem that we try to solve with this is skin dryness. But simply putting it on your skin is not enough. You also need to attack it from the inside. You also need to make sure that your organs are getting enough hydration because that will reflect in your skin naturally. And then this is just, like the icing on the cake, is just to make it look really, really,
And like I say, to indulge and have that feeling of, a lot of women don't have time for ourselves. So just that feeling and taking care, hands on your body. Some of the most loving memories we can have are our mothers or grandmothers putting their hands on our body.
yeah.
Like you say, rubbing these creams in. So even if I drink a lot of water, I'm maybe not going to totally transform my skin, but it's going to be better. And when my organs are working great, that's better. And I'm probably going to have more energy, right?
Yeah. And if you're eating, especially vegetables, I do make a plant juice every morning that myself and my husband eat. It's spinach, cucumber, kiwi, celery, um, half an avocado, some mint, some ginger, some lemon, and lime. When we drink that every morning, it's just a quick way of getting vegetables into our system. So we have a glass of that every
I
morning.
love, that's what I love about juicing and smoothing too. If I try to do at least 2 part vegetable, 1 part fruit.
Fruit,
And if I
yes.
get that in first in the morning, you're like, oh, what a
That's it. Yeah. You're
and
done
if
for
I
the day,
can,
literally on that.
and if I can do my gratitude, a gratitude entry for the morning, if I can do a little minute meditation, if I can get so you're right. If you can set yourself up. So I love the idea of a juice. I love the idea of the skincare. I
Yeah.
love the idea of moving and drinking a lot of water. So I think it's because I don't know if you know, but you're promoting a holistic lifestyle. You know that though,
I
right?
am
It's
for a holistic
all.
lifestyle. I think about it body, mind, and spirit. You've got to take care of those three things. So body through your exercise and your diet, mind through, meditation, relaxing exercises, anything that relaxes you. And believe it or not, the other day, the only thing I wanted to do was sit outside in the garden in the sunshine, sipping wine.
Sounds lovely.
Oh, that was relaxing for me.
Sounds lovely. No, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Sounds lovely. So, because also that's how you manage all these things. Because
Yes.
women are always doing a lot of things, and you're doing a lot of things. Before we go, do you have not that you need to with 7 product lines, but do you have a vision for something else coming up?
I do have a product that I'd like to launch in summer, another back and body product, a very summer themed kind of product, which has always been part of the line, the original lineup. We recently just started selling in another store, called Indie in Birmingham.
Fantastic! Congratulations.
So Indie is a brand that supports independent brands. And they reached out to me and said, "We like the look of your products," and they selected the products that they would like to see.
Yeah, what
We
they thought would work well. Yeah, they selected what they thought would work well in their store and their customers. They know
their customers, yeah.
who comes in. And that's why they contacted you because people were probably asking maybe either for you or stuff that they, you know what I mean? Isn't that amazing when people reach out to you?
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, so there's that coming up as well. I am in talks with QVC, the online channel.
Oh, I'm working with a client for that for her nail stuff, and I know the UK you have a big thing.
Yeah.
So maybe because I know they have a time to pitch. She pitched. She was like, my internet went out. She said, but it came back, and she was so nervous. But did
Yeah.
you already do that pitch, or are you gonna do?
I'm just talking to them about my product at the moment. So hopefully I should be on QVC too.
Fantastic.
Last year we were in quite a few BT magazines. We were in Tatler magazine. I don't know
Oh,
if you
my
know
mom used
Tatler.
to read that, but yeah, because my mom was a big Anglophile. She was one of the women that stayed up all night to watch Princess Diana. Had to get married. Had
Yeah,
the
was very famous
replica
for the
wing.
Princess Diana. Yeah.
Described the Tatler royalty, I think it's called, and I got to think of
There's
it.
Tatler, there's Vogue, and there's one other one. I keep forgetting what it is. Those are the top
That
three kind of like high gloss magazines.
and you were in those, is what you're saying.
Our products were in Tatler. Yeah. Our
So
products
I
were
mean, beauty editor choice, like the beauty editors wrote about it or
the
something.
beauty editor choice. Yeah. We've been in Tatler. We've been on Faith World TV. We've been, yeah, all of this is on the website. And I do quite a lot of educational, skin education is very important to me, which leads me to Radiant Rituals. This is a booklet I created to talk about,
Okay,
yeah, to talk about African ingredients and what they do for skin. And it's something that, when it came out was available to everyone. Yeah, it's all on my website. So
so I could download that, or you ship that out. I could download it, or it's just for sale. That book, Radiant Rituals.
well, it could be downloaded and it could be for sale. If someone bought the whole collection, they get one of these for free. So yeah, so I
I got you. Yeah. Okay.
talk about why I use African ingredients, what
Yeah.
I do for the skin, um, the secrets behind them. We talk about baobab. We talk about this. I talk about a sample body care routine for the morning and for the night, which you can use with any of these products.
Love that because I love a morning and an evening ritual. Love that.
And we also talk about what you can do by skin type as well. So skin education is something that's on there. We have it on my website. And then I throw in a couple of at-home DIY recipes for those who want to try their hands at formulating. These are not
Fantastic.
these are not commercial standard. Though don't make the mistake of thinking some people try to do this and sell and realize that there's a lot more to the business than just the recipe. But these are,
No, you're not giving away all the secrets, but you're letting
you would need to know
people.
more. And then,
Yeah.
what constitutes self-care, why, what are the kind of things you need to do, you know.
Beautifully presented.
And then I talk about, what we do. I am very big on sustainability. Right now, we're using plastic. I would love to switch to more biodegradable packaging. But what we do encourage people to do is if you send us your empties, we can do a refill rather than you having to buy this. And then, things you can do if you want a quick fix for your skin, because I get that question a lot. What can I do to fix this and get my skin ready in time for my wedding?
Exactly. Some
And,
big day.
these are all our product collections. I don't know if you can see every one of them.
Oh yeah, I see. Okay, that's 12. Uh, three
12
rows of
collections. So
four.
we've got
Exactly.
Mystique, we've got Manoi. Manoi came about. Manoi is the purple one that came about because I wanted to. I like frangipani, and I was like, how does frangipani fit with my African theme? So I said, oh, it's a African Asian frangipani thing. And then the blue one, Primus. I just thought about spring, and everything about that is about how your skin responds going from warm weather, cold weather to warm
The
weather. So
warmer weather, yeah.
population is lighter. And then we've got Mafura Fan. Funny enough, when I was experimenting at home, Mafura Farm is pink. When I was experimenting at home, I could only think of rose lavender vanilla because that's a very classic skincare thing. And that's what I put in there. And I thought this is quite feminine, so let's just call it Fam. Then we've got Mafura Eden, which is a summer range as well. But only because the fragrance that came to mind was I was trying to think of something that was a garden, and the Garden of Eden came to mind. And then I just thought coconut, jasmine, and it's a very tropical kind of thing. We've got Mafura Frost, which is for winter.
Oh,
So if you've got
oh,
winter skin, it is you need a lot of moisture. You find that the body butter will be thicker, everything will be thicker, creamier. And then we've got Mafura Sana. The word Sana in Swahili means it's the one with the green label, Sana. The one Asana in Swahili means pure. So it's pure Mafura butter. It's about the highest concentration of Mafura butter we do. And that's for people with sensitive skin. It's completely fragrance free. Because I do have some people who have extra sensitive skin, and we've got a discount code. We If you subscribe to us, you get discounts. You probably be the first person to know about all the launches, all the giveaways that we do. We recently did a Mother's Day giveaway. We gave away a basket, which we call the Five Senses basket, representing taste, smell, touch. What's the other one now? Sound,
here. Yes, it's a hearing sound.
and speech.
Hmm.
And
Wow.
we put a candle for smell. I only do candles for special occasions. I don't really specialize in them. So we had a champagne and roses candle for smell. We had a Mafura Farm body butter. It's also a very good smell. A lot of women seem to like that one actually. It's like, oh yeah, because the lavender is quite relaxing. In it, we put some digestive biscuits, we put some herbal tea, we put some prosecco, and I gave that out to someone as a prize. She was quite, it was a Mother's Day gift from her children, and we do things like that.
Oh, that was lovely. And I saw a man in there. Is one of the
And in
lines
there,
just
yes.
for men, or they can use anything too? They may, because we can't tell a man if he doesn't want to smell like roses and champagne or whatever. But I
No,
didn't know if you had a particular, because some men have beards and shaving had different concerns.
no. This is what we call the Just Man range. It's just man. Formulating for men is very interesting because men are very fixed on they're likely to use the same product their whole lives. They're not going to change. My dad still uses Old Spice and things like that, and it's like,
That's
it doesn't matter what
true.
comes out. If they're happy with it, they're happy with it. And my husband was a main guinea pig for this one. Getting him to use it, if it impressed him, I knew it was going to impress other men because he was like, Now, while all of these products can be used for men, this one is very masculine themed in terms of it's the only one where I use pure shea butter. For some reason, men love shea butter. All the men I used in my testing group were like, just give me something with shea butter in it and make sure it smells like tobacco. Okay. And-
Interesting.
but it gives off this hardworking man kind of vibe. That's the only thing that it's got a shower gel, it's got a body lotion, doesn't have a body butter, but it's got a shaving foam, a beard balm, and things that men would probably be typically interested in. I find a lot of women tend to buy from that range during Father's Day, so you might find a bit of that promotion coming up when it's Father's Day. We do a lot of Just Man promotions. So yeah, men do need to take care of their skin too, and thankfully a lot of them do these days. So
Yeah, they do. And so it's so funny that your husband was a guinea pig. Was your daughter also? You say she loves I know she loves the body scrub, but was she
yeah, she loves the body
willing?
scrub.
Uh,
And the thing with my daughter, she wasn't really interested when I started doing this thing because she had her own products. And then she ran out of products and couldn't afford to buy something. So she just picked something from my range without telling me. And they came back and said, "Oh, Mom, this is really good." I thought, yeah, I've been trying to get you to try this for months. And she just said, she started saying, Mom, I'll buy the body scrub off you from now on. And that's what she's been using.
well, that's a great way to end because you know what? When your kids are like, you know what, you're right, or that's good, you done it. We're gonna end it there because we can't top that. Your kids and your husband's seal of approval, they're gonna tell you the truth. So I am so thrilled to be able to tell people to go to Tall Chic
Oh, chic,
Naturals
naturals. Yeah.
com, all one word. You'll get the education. You can see the 12 product lines, something for moms, daughters, husbands, sons, graduation season is coming up.
Yeah.
Ships around Europe. If you're an American, try it, but get your orders in now. If you're already doing it, see if you can get it in so you can just stock it up while we get through whatever may be coming up with tariffs.
Yeah.
Right? I'm so inspired by talking with you and grateful that you took the time to do it. So don't be surprised if you see an order from me for some of that thick butter. I'm going to stock, because I know I need that. I like that extra when you say this frost.
Frost.
That's,
Yeah.
yeah, because in the wintertime, you could just, it'll probably blow away. I'm so ashy and dry. So I'll be stocking up for that, the frost. And before we go, I know tallchicnaturals.com, but we'll find the social media there too. I'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah.
Social media. Where are you on social media?
I'm on YouTube. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram. I'm on TikTok. It's quite active on TikTok, actually. Yeah.
Okay, great. So I'll make sure we have all that in there. And yeah, thank you for celebrating and reminding us that it's Earth Month.
Yeah. So
Earth Month.
I'll be
Yeah.
conscious of the planet, reminding ourselves. And my thing is that your skincare and your beauty shouldn't really cost the earth. It shouldn't.
Or your health.
Oh, your
Right.
health. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
thanks for that reminder. And yeah, I'll see you next time. But
Um,
thanks for your reminder and check in with me. Let me know how things are going. Always welcome back.
yeah, not a problem. Thank you so much, Adrian. Thanks for having me. Take care.
Hey, this is Adrian. I hope you enjoyed that conversation. I know I did. And I'll see you again soon. Bye.